Hi, welcome to Technique Tuesday, a weekly series where I'll break down climbing techniques in a quick, clear and useful way. I'm Fat Old Climber and this channel is plotting my progress as a mediocre climber as I move towards doing a 7A. Each week I'll cover a climbing technique, what it is, what kind of problem it helps solve or when you might need it, and how to do it in a way that actually works. So if you're new to climbing or just stuck on certain moves, or just want to get better without having to be super strong, this series might be for you. If you have any questions or any techniques you'd like me to cover in this series, then drop me a comment and let me know. Today, we're going to look at one of my favourite techniques, which is deadpoint climbing, or using dead points. So let's get into it. So what is deadpoint? A deadpoint is a climbing technique where you time your movement to reach for a hold at the peak of your upward movement, when your body is momentarily weightless and there's a slight pause, not pulling down or falling. Think of it like this: it's that floaty moment at the top of a small dynamic move, just before gravity pulls you down. At that point, your body is still stable and in the best position to accurately grab a hold that would otherwise feel out of reach or too difficult to latch statically. So what kind of situations would you use deadpoint in? Mainly, for me, is to increase reach. A deadpoint lets you stretch a little further than a static movement would. Also to reduce the load on your arms, since you're not hanging or locking off hard, using momentum instead to move. And also in dynamic moves, you would use it to be more accurate, rather than just throwing yourself up at a hold. Sometimes the next hold will be just out of reach, or sometimes, as you'll see in an example in a minute, the next holds up that you would have to use statically are just not the kinds of holds you like, and you want to bypass holds. That's probably where I use it most often. So how do you use deadpoint? First off, position yourself well, have your feet stable, at least 1 foot with a second foot on the wall. Remember, 3 points of contact. You want to go as low as possible and initiate a swinging move, pushing up from your legs and slightly pulling in towards the wall. Reach during the float, get used to that feeling of where the top of the swing is, and that's where you want to just reach your hand out and grab the hold. And then catch and engage. As soon as you grab the hold, immediately engage your core and feet to stabilise. In some cases you might have to over-exaggerate the movement at the bottom and use a swing to get the momentum. Let's see an example. So how do you practice it? To be honest, my view is the same as most techniques. The best time to practice it is while you're climbing, but the point of practicing deadpoint climbing is this. I see so many people that when I'm watching climb or I'm helping them climb, they'll look to a move and they don't think they'll reach it, so they have to put their feet up. One of the ways I've benefited from practicing and climbing deadpoint most is when I'm on a wall and I look to a hold that's quite far, I know whether I can reach it or not, with a relatively high percentage of accuracy. So very, very rarely do I look to a hold, decide I'm going to deadpoint it, go for it and not reach. This is one of the techniques I find easiest to climb, and I do it using a game called 2-move purples, which I've done a video about before. Purples are, in my gym, the easiest route. It doesn't have to be the easiest route, it's just the ones I use. I've sometimes done it on yellows, which are 1 grade up. Pick a grade that's easy for you. It's not at all hard, you want it to be easy. And then what you do is you try and do the whole climb in 2 moves. And when I say 2 moves, I'm talking about hand movements. So your first move would be 1 hand to the 1 hold, and your next move would be to the top. You don't touch any more than 2 holds, and you don't match on any holds. And what you're basically doing is practicing deadpoint climbing. What I tend to do with 2-move purples is I tend to do it either as part of my warm-up, but more often as part of my cool down once I've kind of had my session. It's a good fun game to integrate into your group. Normally what happens when there's a few of us and I start doing 2-move purples, and before you know it, we've got a crowd of people doing it. It's a fun game. So if you want to climb more dynamically, if you want to be able to reach holds that you couldn't reach before, if you want to be able to stretch out and use momentum more in your climbing, practice deadpoints. You won't regret it. So that's it. I haven't decided on what we're going to cover next week's Technique Tuesday. If you have any preference, let me know in the comments. So if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe if you want to keep levelling up your climbing. See you next Tuesday.